based on recent science. Quite contrary to the long-time existing consensus human history based on out of Africa plus the complementing interbreeding with Neanderthals, the rewritten human history obviously must be based on the most recent science, because we should not allow ourselves to make the same almost irreparable errors again. Obviously, first to be consulted are the ancestral markers, and these point firmly and consequently to the Americas, and some of these markers point more precisely and directly to the Amazon forest. Enhancements. In the Amazon forest itself, there is plenty of evidence of enhancement of soils and forest, including its human food production capabilities, amongst others by means of large-scale and nowhere else in the world seen, unedited organic and sustainable form of fertilization through self-regenerating carbon-rich and deep soils. NASA, climate regulator. In the course of our series and channel, we prove by means of NASA research that the Amazon together with South American vegetation is the main regulator of global climate, as well as the main absorber of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, roughly half of the world's carbon dioxide emissions. On top of this, South America is the main distributor of food and nutrients for plankton and fish, this by means of diverse organic and inorganic compounds, into the world's oceans. In the course of our series and channel we show how the carbon dioxide of the atmosphere will be the main resource for all we humans and all animals need, and that keeps us all healthy, and that this will make us all thrive like some kind of horn of abundance, that only needs to be respected, maintained, and that despite of no active input allows abundant and constant harvesting. Our actual lifestyle does not really respect, maintain, and unfortunately is not about sustainably harvesting, but about unsustainable practices and exploration. There is only one thing that impedes us modern humans to thrive and solve, which is in fact one and the same thing, that is to let go this proven limited and unsustainable idea of triumph and survival of the fittest, which in practice turns out to be that one group that figures something out, that is different from our ancestors and their carbon-agroforests, and that consequently is unsustainable, and makes that the group consequently needs to take from others, what means wiping out most of the times. This is what Dwarkesh-Patel almost literally points out in the description of his otherwise very important videos, where he interviews David-Reich, and which are mostly based on ancient DNA research and are more true to be rewritten human history. Importantly, David-Reich insists to point out that there was no triumph, as well as no survival of the fittest for humans, and that all this leads to one extinction after the other. Something we focus on, and where they do not focus on yet, are carbon-agroforests, and the consequent horn of abundance they create, but they do point to the unsustainability and certain negative impacts of agriculture. The main video holds one chapter with the name, Was Agriculture Terrible for Humans? In our series and channel we also point out that after every important so-called agricultural revolution, one or more health crises follow in its wake. These through association apparently consequential health crises also cause important extinctions amongst humans, animals, and plants. We will have to trust in what we, still, can learn from our ancestors and as well in our own sustained action while making use of an action plan, mostly based on carbon-agroforests, and that we will need to collectively build and act on, in order to collectively harvest the consequential horn of abundance. We also should remember there is only a window of opportunity to do so, of one or a few decades, this for a number of reasons. In our view, this window of opportunity is more related to vulnerabilities, like depleting reserves of resources, which we will still depend on during the build-up, than from eventual critical points related to climate, which we certainly do not deny. To understand the necessary, we humans have to first understand what carbon-agroforests are, what their proven enormous potential is, and impossible what exactly our ancestors did in the Amazon forest to build and maintain them so successfully. We claim the build-up of carbon-agroforests will involve some very limited, but very strategic modifications of landscapes, similar to what ancient Amazon Amarins already very successfully did on a large scale, and which had no negative impacts. We only very recently are able to detect and recognize these very limited but very strategic modifications of landscapes, more or often with the help of LiDAR technology.